This is Modern Persian Food,
a culinary podcast for today's food enthusiast.
We talk about classic Persian flavors,
modern recipes,
and embracing culture and identity through food.
I'm Bita.
And I'm also Bita.
Welcome to our show.
Hi, friends. Welcome to episode 160, our Fall Flavors for a Persian-Inspired Thanksgiving episode. We are very happy to be here with you. And just before we get started, I just wanted to take a moment to recognize that we have indeed published 160 episodes so far of the Modern Persian Food podcast. Woohoo! And we've had so many great topics and guests on the show. And Bita and I have been featured on TV, at cultural events, and nominated in several podcast award shows. So we are super proud of ourselves. Yay to us! Congratulations, Bita June.
Congratulations, and thank you, listener, for supporting us along the way. It's a win for us, but I think it's a win for the community.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But publishing a podcast is definitely a lot of work, and we want to do big things, and we want to be able to have balance and family time along the way. So we're testing out moving to a more monthly format and see how we like it, and ultimately how you, our listener, likes it. So let us know if you have any feedback, anything you want us to know, and you can help shape the future of the podcast.
We'll still be here. We're just going to focus on some other back-end things like growth so that we can keep putting out the best content that we can. So anticipation will be key.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And while we're slowing down new releases, we're going to take the time and showcase some of our favorite episodes and topics, add more video. We're now on YouTube and also adding video to our social handles and grow awareness of modern Persian food in general. We have some amazing episodes coming up. Next month will be our annual Yalda episode, and we're looking forward to bringing you fresh ways to celebrate Yalda and what to eat. And we're starting out next year on a health kick, so stay tuned for that. But on to today's episode, we're talking about fall everywhere and my favorite holiday, Persian-American Thanksgiving, and also a festive Ask the Beats in the second half of the show.
Thanks, Bita. Thanks for sharing about that.
Yeah.
Fall is one of my favorite times of year. We get to practice gratitude all year long, but, it's just a cozy time, a time to sort of slow down and reflect and to eat.
Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully by the end of this episode, you will be inspired to get creative with making a Persian-inspired dish this season, and specifically around Thanksgiving, however way that you celebrate, either with a big group or a small group or Friendsgiving, or just getting takeout and celebrating yourself. If there are any new flavors, this is a great opportunity to try them out if you haven't. And we just wanted to kind of showcase some of the recipes that we've been playing around with and that we will be incorporating onto our Thanksgiving table. And we wanted to share them with you.
That's right. We hope that you will walk away with some Persian-ish fall flavor inspiration and be able to come up with some side dishes and some recipes that are just a little bit different than the everyday fall Thanksgiving dish.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, no disrespect. Believe me, I love the Thanksgiving classics so much, but it is fun to kind of add a little bit of Persian flair to some of the dishes. So, I think that in most households around Thanksgiving, there's a big centerpiece item, typically like a turkey, or some people will do like a ham. And so there can be so many other sides or so many sides that could supplement the bird or whatever it is as your main course. So let's kind of get into it. We're going to be talking about some starches, some vegetables, fruits, and some upgrades to some classics. But let's start with vegetables, because it seems that it's always nice to have some sort of brightness or quote unquote healthy item to the table in the form of vegetables.
Yeah, and there seem to be more in the markets and in the restaurants on the menus, and at least in my kitchen, we have a lot of root vegetables. I'm picking up more squash, and I am definitely seeing lots of varieties of, for example, sweet potatoes. And so all these root vegetables that you can bake or cook in so many different ways make for fun, inspiring recipes. And today we're going to add a little bit Mediterranean spin to them.
Yeah. So you've been experimenting a little bit with some root vegetables in kind of a new form. Tell us about your adventures in the vegetable cuckoo that you've been making.
Yeah, so I'm actually hosting Thanksgiving, and it's embarrassing to admit that at 55 years old, I've never hosted our, like big extended family Thanksgiving.
And that's nothing to be embarrassed about.
Well, it's long overdue, but I guess the reality is that growing up, I had an auntie who really wanted to, she insisted on doing it. And so, we always just were guests and it was easy. We would just take something and enjoy the meal and help out as much as we could when we got there. And now as an adult, it's been, our Persian Martha Stewart, our, kind of entertainment expert, Mama Njala, my mother-in-law, hosting almost every single year. So it's just high time. She's still going to help tremendously. And I think I'm actually going to cook the bird with her. So I'll get to really get hands-on training. But it's a lot. For us, we have a lot of folks over. And so the setup and the preparation and kind of the physical work around it is becoming challenging. So for the older grandparents. So I'm excited to do it. And yes, I've been cooking up a storm. I've been experimenting. You and I went to a Mehragan fall harvest Persian festival earlier this season. And one of the chefs at the chef's tent that we helped coordinate, she made a classic dish that I had never had before, cuckoo yamor, a cuckoo with chicken. It was so delicious to me. And she made it in this really creative, baked, healthy way. And she had some special molds and they were really tiny, but I went home and I started making it a bunch and I made it in all sorts of different versions. I actually chose to skip the chicken and I kind of kept the integrity though of her recipe. So what I did was I started with the golden onions. The golden onions really gave it the flavor, basically frying up golden onions and then in a separate bowl, whipping up either eggs or egg white. If you want to make it vegan, you could use aquafaba, which is basically the juice of chickpeas. The juice of chickpeas or garbanzos can be an egg substitute when whipped up. It gets frothy and foamy. But I have made it with eggs. I've made it with egg whites. And then from there, so it's kind of like, I would say the basis of this beyond the grilled fried onions would be the eggs and potatoes. So you have cooked potatoes, whatever kind of potatoes you want to use, and then whatever vegetables you want to use. So I have made it with some bell peppers, with carrots, with eggplant, with sweet potatoes. Really, the sky's the limit. And because you're just starting out with really just egg and onion, it really brings out the flavor of those fall vegetables. And I just love that dish. And then what I do is I do cook all of the vegetables before, chop them up very small, and then you just kind of mix it all together, the onions and the egg and the vegetables. And then I bake them in little muffin tins, bake them in the muffin tins. And then I'm thinking that it's going to be a great make ahead dish for Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Yeah. And you could serve that probably room temperature. What I love about that is if you have like a garden or you come across a bunch of vegetables that you don't really know what to do with, it's a great way to kind of use up what the garden has given you, what you have as harvest from the season. That sounds delicious. I love a version with cauliflower or green beans too, to kind of mix it up. Actually, it would be a great way with green beans, would be a very relevant dish to do it.
Yeah, I have used cauliflower, and cauliflower is good because it doesn't have a very strong flavor. It just kind of helps to bind it and give it a little bit more fiber. And so that's a great idea too.
Yeah, great.
What kind of vegetables are you cooking in this fall?
I love bringing Brussels sprouts to the table. It's always a nice, very fall type of vegetable, and it's so versatile actually. You can pan fry it, you can throw it in the oven, you can slice it, you can put it whole, you can make it into a salad. But one thing that I've been experimenting with is actually roasting the Brussels sprouts in a cast iron pan. So the cast iron pan gets super hot, and then it can get a nice char on the Brussels sprouts. And as you cook it a little bit, it kind of just like gets a little bit softer. And the thing that I really love about this is adding a garnish of zitish to it. Zitish is a little tart barberry. It has a kind of like a chewiness to it, and it really brings a brightness to the dish. So the Brussels sprouts, if it's getting the char on it, it can, feel a little bit more heavy, but this really does brighten it up. And I'm working on the type of like vinaigrette that I want to put on it. Something with like a little bit of like tahini sounds perfect to just kind of like toss that all together and have just like a great side dish. And what I love about it is that you don't have to use up oven space. You can just do it right on the stovetop. And frankly, it's not one of those that it has to be piping hot. It's definitely okay if it cools down a little bit, gets more room temperature. And it's beautiful, and it has like a, festiveness to it. So I want to have Brussels sprouts on my table. The other vegetable that I love having around on Thanksgiving are the green beans. So we just talked about, there's a version you can make with like kuku, make a kuku lubia sabs with that. Lubia polo, one of my favorite things to actually have at Thanksgiving on the Thanksgiving table. Lubia polo is a green bean, tomato-based rice dish. And also, if you don't want to have that rice, you can kind of get that mixture and make a more of a chorak lubia sabs. So I'm thinking about like just green beans sauteed a little bit with some tomato, either fresh tomato or like a can of like charred tomatoes mixed up with like onions, and be like a really fun, different type of side dish. You could add a little bit of cinnamon and turmeric to that for some like warming spices to it. But those two are some of the vegetables that I always love to have on a Thanksgiving table.
Delicious. One more thing I've been playing around with is to use sweet potatoes as a potato tahdig in my rice. So our family does like to have rice as part of the Thanksgiving spread, and just in general.
Yeah.
With most of our meals, we have some form of a rice. So I've been playing around with it. I use traditional sweet potatoes, and funny enough, they just didn't crisp up. And I think what I'm kind of realizing is that sweet potatoes, the traditional orange sweet potatoes, have more moisture in them.
I can see that.
Than regular potatoes. It was really delicious, even though it didn't totally like hold together on the bottom and kind of like make the rice cake when I flipped it. Better believe it that I still ate it up, because just that sweet flavor with the rice and the carbs and the yummy, like buttery, oily sweet potato was just like heaven. So then I started playing around with the kind of sweet potato, and I found some Japanese sweet potatoes at Trader Joe's. I'd never really seen this type of Japanese sweet potato. It had like a regular, more or less looking skin, and then the inside of it was sort of like a cream or yellowish color.
Yeah.
We had made some purple Japanese sweet potatoes in the late summer when one of our daughters was still home, and those things taste like cake. They're like very, very sweet and delicious, and could be a dessert, honestly, on its own. But the regular Japanese sweet potatoes lended themselves really nicely to tahdig. So I made a successful potato tahdig with them. And what I found out about Japanese sweet potatoes is that they are a little bit more dry in nature and more similar to what a regular potato is like. And so they did kind of cook through and hold their shape of the bottom of the pot better.
Okay.
And the other thing is that they're just mildly sweet, not too sweet. So if you're used to the taste of potatoes with your rice in a potato tahdig, this is just a little bit sweeter than that. So it worked really well.
Right. And then I think the regular sweet potato, because it is sweeter, you have to kind of make sure that you don't burn your tahdig either, because it could get, all the sugars can come in and caramelize a little too fast too. Something to just keep in mind.
Yeah, I'm going to keep playing with it. I haven't done the regular sweet potato tahdig perfectly yet. If any of you have made it, let us know. Take a picture, share on social media, or send us a message, because I'd love to hear if you've ever tried to make a sweet potato or yam tahdig.
Yeah.
I'm really curious to hear.
Right. And to that point, if there's any of the items that we're talking about today or that we've ever talked about on the show, if you take a chance to try it out. Let us know. Keep us posted. We love hearing how your cooking adventures and food adventures are going. If you post it on social media, tag us. We would love that. And we are proud of you for even trying to make some of these dishes. So we're excited about that. But speaking of rice, always a tahdig is welcome on the Thanksgiving table, sweet potato or not. So definitely if you want to do rice, try to do a little bit of a tahdig. But lubia polo is a great rice dish. We have in previous years talked about more of a cranberry zitish type of rice. So we have a traditional zitish polo, the same barberries that I was talking about. We have those tossed with saffron and some almonds and layered in a rice dish. But if you want to have a little more of a festive flair to that, you can use dried cranberries. So like craisin type of cranberries, and you can make a layered rice dish like that. It's again bringing in the festive cranberries of the season and putting like kind of a Persian flair to it for a Persian American Thanksgiving table.
I love it. Delicious.
When I think about fall, one of the main things that I look forward to in the fall are the fruits. So persimmons, the beginning of pomegranates coming around, quince. These are all like such lovely, beautiful fruits of the season. Tell us a little bit about some of those fruits.
Yeah, when I can get my hands on some persimmon from the market or a friend's tree, and the same goes for pomegranate, I will just relish in it. And I love to decorate the table, the kitchen island, just use it as a natural table decor. But beyond that, I think that persimmons are really great as an addition to your cheese board or your appetizer offering. Just cut up and offered there. The same way as you might put grapes on a cheese board, that's how I'm envisioning using persimmons. I also put persimmons in, sometimes when I have persimmons, I also put them in my fruited kale salad that I try to bring out for the fall holidays, that has kale and pomegranates and apples and grapes and this like tangy honey mustard vinaigrette. It's fruited. It has apples and lemon juice and everything fall, like persimmons and pomegranate arrows, really make it interesting and have texture and flavor.
For anyone who's listening who doesn't know what a persimmon is, I think it's a fruit that more recently people have become more aware of what persimmons are. But for anyone who doesn't know, persimmons are a bright orange fruit. They come in two varieties. They have a fuyu variety and they also have the haichia one. And the difference is how you eat them. The fuyu one is more kind of flat and squat in shape, and you can eat that hard. So you can cut it, slice it, you could put it on your cheese board, as Bita Jun was saying, or you could just like bite into it like how you would like an apple. They're super easy to eat. You just throw them in the bag. I love them. I love them all the time.
So I was referencing fuyu. You're right, the hard apple type. Now the other type, the soft gushy type, can be used in other ways.
Yeah, the haichia one. So it looks like kind of like an upside down heart is the way that I could describe it best. And it starts off green on the tree and you have to let this fully ripen. If you don't let it ripen, it like has a really astringent flavor and texture and will make your mouth pucker up. It's actually inedible really until it is ripe. But when it's ripe, it's bright orange, it's super gushy and soft, and you can slice it actually, but knowing that it's going to be gushy. So you kind of have to be a little bit delicate about how you kind of get that into your mouth. But it is a super amazing flavor. The consistency maybe a little bit different for people if you're not used to, but you can use it kind of almost similar to how you would use a jam. You can also put the haichia persimmon on a cheese board too. Think of how you would put like a jam or something very soft or like honey. You can do that with a haichia persimmon. Actually, either one of them for like an appetizer by putting them on like a little like cracker or crostini, maybe with some sharp cheese and kind of pairing that together as little bites. You can also use them like in baked goods, like if you wanted to make a dessert and you can make kind of like how you would use like pumpkin in like a pumpkin bread recipe, you can use the soft persimmon in it. There's definitely a bunch of different cookies and bread recipes out there that you can utilize these delicious, very unique, beautiful persimmon fruit.
Yeah. And the color is so perfect. So either variety, fuyu or hachia persimmons work as table decor because of the perfect orange color, as well as pomegranates with their bright red.
Yeah.
But the gushy ones, like you said, are really like a jam. And you could even make a chutney. So you could be, if you are super ambitious, you can make a little hachia persimmon chutney with a splash of vinegar, and that's the mushy gushy one, and just have that kind of as an alternate next to your cranberry sauce, or your orange cranberry sauce is what we have, which would be kind of cool. And yeah, I've even seen persimmon pie. It looks a lot like a pumpkin pie. So yeah, just keep that one in mind this year as you're coming up with your recipes. We want to see what you do with persimmons.
Yeah, persimmons and pomegranates, the bright red color as well of the pomegranate is just so festive, kind of gathering our pomegranates, getting ready for Yalda next month. But it's beautiful. You can just slice a pomegranate in half and have that as table decor. Just the inside of the pomegranate looks so beautiful just like that. And it's always like a delicious burst of flavor if you want to, sprinkle it on top of your salad, on top of roasted vegetables, or really any of your desserts. It's really like a welcome brightness to any dish.
Pomegranates are gorgeous. I love that idea that you have of just kind of opening it up in the sections and have it there, right there. I've done that before. And I've had folks ask me, how am I supposed to eat it? So then I've, actually peeled it for them. But they're really easy to incorporate because it's as simple as once you de-seed your pomegranate, just sprinkle that stuff everywhere. Sprinkle it on your salad, sprinkle it on your roasted vegetables, any roasted vegetables. You talked about your roasted Brussels sprouts and putting zereshk on them for the tart burst of flavor and color. Well, the pomegranates would do the same thing on your Brussels sprouts. So just get creative. We'd love to see you add them. And I have a feeling that they'll be appreciated, even from your folks that just want their cornbread and cornbread. What else is there? Mashed potatoes and green bean casserole.
Yeah, exactly. And if not, then you'll have the leftovers. You can eat them yourself, all the pomegranate arrows, and sprinkle it on your breakfast.
That's right.
Speaking of leftovers, we have some really fun previous year Thanksgiving episodes. Like I said, this is one of our favorite holidays. So we love kind of deep diving into our traditional ways to celebrate and new ways to do it. So if you want more inspiration and want to hear about some of our other kind of experiences and other dishes that we talk about, check out our previous year's Thanksgiving episodes. And notably, we actually have a Thanksgiving leftover episode. And we also have a halim episode, which is one of our favorite things to do with leftover turkey, or if you kind of make a broth with the turkey bones, you can definitely make a great hearty batch of halim. So check out those other episodes if you'd like to learn more.
We have loads of Thanksgiving content. I really liked the one last year when you walked us through how to make an easy turkey. So that was episode 111. Beta June shared her favorite way of making turkey that she's been doing for years and years. So if you are planning to make the turkey, go to our website is probably the easiest way, and then just enter episode 111 or just the word Thanksgiving and you'll find it there.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and link to all the previous episodes in our show notes too, if you want to just click on over and listen to that after this episode.
We have a favor, friends. As we mentioned at the start of the show, we're going to a monthly schedule. If you liked this episode, pass it along, forward it to a friend. We're growing. We love our listeners, and we'd love to have your friend, cousin, mother, sister, aunt, husband listen to it as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. We really appreciate you, and we couldn't do it without the support of our listeners. So thanks again to everyone who's listening. And with that, let's go to our Ask the Beats, one of our favorite segments of our podcast, Ask the Beats, where we take a listener question and answer it on the show. If you haven't had a chance to submit a question, please send us an email, hello@modernpersianfood.com, or send us a DM over social media, however way you want to get it to us. We'd love to feature you. So today's question comes from Mia in Walnut Creek, California. And she asks, how do you practice gratitude with your family beyond Thanksgiving? So this is great. And as you see, this is not really a food related question. So we are happy to answer any question that you guys submit. So let's see, practicing gratitude with our family beyond Thanksgiving.
Great question, Mia June. Well, I'm a big fan of the 5-minute journal, and that's just a little booklet you can order, and it helps to structure gratitude and get it into a routine to sort of like train your brain to always be practicing gratitude. And I like the fill in the blank format of it. In the morning, you answer some questions. In the evening, you answer some questions. So when I have family around, and my husband in particular these days, I'll just verbally ask him, hey, in the morning, what are you feeling grateful for today? And at the end of the day, what was the best thing that happened to you today? You know, what did you learn today? Those kinds of questions. And then for the extended family, I am thinking of our young adult daughters, my nieces, even aunts and uncles. What I like to do is I will gift the 5-minute journal or the gratitude journal to them, you know, in a loving kind of expression of, hey, I hope that you can incorporate this in your life. It's been really meaningful and helpful to create positivity in my life, to sort of always realize all the things I'm grateful for. And that's kind of how I spread it. Do you have any strategies, Beta June?
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. That's lovely. It's a nice way, I think, to kind of frame your day. You start it off with like a good mindset and round it out at the end of the day with kind of gratitude and recognizing positive things in your life. So I love that. Very nice. Very nice. And that's great that you have your extended family participating in that too. So good job.
Thanks. Yeah, I actually had a niece ask for it for her birthday, which was cool.
Aw, very nice. Very nice.
What do you do in your family and personally?
One thing that we do with our family when we are able to all gather together at the dinner table together, which isn't every night, but we try to do that, is we do an activity. It's not a game, as my son likes to remind me, but it's an activity that is called Rosebud Thorn. And what it is basically we're kind of talking about like a flower, and we talk about what the rose is, what was the best part of our day, what our bud is what are we looking forward to, and what was our thorn, like what happened today that was kind of like a bummer, or like, you know, we fell or someone got hurt, or, you know, something that was negative in our day. And it's actually very nice to be able to kind of identify those things and sometimes put closure on the negative things, and also like kind of bring it back with like happiness and things that we're looking forward to. So we try to kind of practice that, and you know, just trying to be thankful for so many things. It's been kind of like a crazy summer, but we made it ultimately, and just being thankful for our health and having each other, and just basically, you know, every day is really a gift. So being able to experience that with our family and with our friends and to be healthy is really the best.
I love that. I love the visual of it too. So it's Rosebud Thorn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you can kind of switch which order if you want to just get the thorn out of the way first. You can start with that. But yeah, the 3 of those.
Yeah. And it works for kids of all ages,
yeah,
and people of all ages. I love that, the visual of it. And also just the real life aspect of it. Like your day's not always going to be perfect. And
yes,
just to incorporate a little bit, I think of my exercise with what you're doing and putting on my old teacher and coaching hat, I have a suggestion to add on to your thorn segment.
Sure.
So after you guys share what was the thorn or the hard part of your day, go ahead and add a last little bit, which is, what did you learn from that? What did you learn from that thing that happened to you?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point, because I think those are all opportunities to learn and grow. So I'll add that to our little activity, nightly activity.
Thanks, Mia June. This was wonderful, and ending on this positive note.
Yeah, absolutely. So we hope that everyone has a great Thanksgiving for everyone who's celebrating, and a fun, festive fall season with good health and happiness with your family and friends.
Thanks so much.
Thanks so much. Until next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Modern Persian Food Podcast with Bita and Bita. Thanks for spending time with us. If you've enjoyed what you heard today, consider telling a friend or giving us a good rating. You can subscribe to our show for free on your favorite podcasting app or find us online at modernpersianfood.com or on Instagram for the recipes and information we talked about today. We'd love to hear your thoughts and see you next time.